So I'm reminded of the very first time I went to the assisted living center where my father is. Now, this center is on the island of Maui. It's no more than a block away from the ocean. It's absolutely got the perfect location if you ever have to be in a facility like that. And I can remember very clearly, this is going back now 4 years. And I can remember very clearly this one woman. And I remember seeing this woman. She was very white-haired, pitch white hair. And she was a woman who did not look in any way, shape, or form like she needed assistance. She looked very healthy. She walked good. It appeared she ate well. It appeared that she had no visible markings of any type of illness or anything going on in her life. And I can remember seeing her that in the midst of, as you walk in, you've got the office, you've got this big hallway, you've got the dining area over on the left, and then you'd walk in, there's this big circular area with couches. And it's not uncommon to see many of the folk there just sitting in the couch. And I can remember her sitting there because I was walking a lot. I was helping my dad move in, so I was in and out, in and out, in and out. And there she sat like this. And I've gone back now, in 4 years, I've been back 9 times. I want you to know that that look never changed. But what did change was her body. And now, 4 years later, she can't walk. She's in a wheelchair. And she needs service all the time. And then I reflected back on how my father has gone. And I don't know how he's doing right now. I know I got a call this morning. He's back in the hospital. And I said, so here I am, and I'm looking at my life, and I'm looking at my life from the standpoint of I have now gone around the sun 66 times. And yet I have an intention of living to at least 124. And I will be functioning in this magnificent temple at the level that I'm functioning now. So I said, so what is the secret? And this is something I just didn't start pursuing now. This is something I have been pursuing for a long time. And so I then looked and I pulled out this book, and it was so perfect. It was a book by Raymond Charles Barker, who was a minister of religious science, which is what we teach here, and he's no longer with us on the planet. But he taught this, and this quote really hit me. He said, getting old is optional. He said, as long as you are inspired and interested in the new, and you are in consistent circulation of new activities, you will stay youthful and ageless. You hearing that? As long as you are inspired, inspiration comes from within. It is not an outside thing, it is an inside thing. And then it also goes on, and you are in constant circulation with new ideas that are about this. And here's what happens. If you are not inspired and interested in the new, you are dead. That's what the mind thinks. If you're not expanding and you're not going into the new, you're not exploring new ideas, new ways of being, you are dead. And so the mind says, you're not doing new, let's start the body deteriorating. And it can happen at any age. It does not have to be a process. There are many people that are in their 20s that are walking around dead because they're not inspired to anything new. They're not inspired for greatness from within. They're not doing anything new. This is the thing. We've become a creatures of habits. We have these patterns that are going around, and we don't do anything new. And that reminds me, I sat there, and I was at the Chamber of Commerce in Frisco. And I'm at the Chamber of Commerce in Frisco, and this woman would get up every week. And it was Alba. And Alba's a trainer in pink. And this is a vibrant woman. I mean, she's got this long black hair, and she's got red in it. And she's got it put up, and it's just sassy. And she's got on her exercise clothes, and she's strutting, and she's got this caboose that sits way up high. And you're looking at that, and she walks up to you one day, and some of you heard this, she puts her hand right here and says, there's no muscle there. And you go, oh my God, bitch, you know? What gives you the right to do that? You don't say that, but I'm just letting you know what goes through the mind of a minister, because a lot of you think that ministers are really holy. Well, I'm holy and I can say bitch. And so she does that, and I start thinking, and so a week later I go up to her and I said, so Alba, what's with this? She says, well, I'll have to do an assessment. Okay. So she comes over my home. And she spends 2 hours, and she's also a licensed massage therapist. She's got a master's degree in physiology, a master's degree in kinesiology. This woman has got the stuff, okay? And so she does this whole thing, and she takes me to the gym, and she shows me what I've got to do. And I went, oh. So I did the simple things that she gave me for a month. And then last Friday, she said, it's time for us to work out. And she says, we're going to work on your glutes. Now, she qualified and said, you will never have glutes like I do. And I said, why not? And she says, because you're not Puerto Rican. I don't know, but I guess that's race consciousness. You know, it's the law of averages saying that if you're Puerto Rican, you're going to have glutes. But anyway, so she took me through a workout. And for the last week, I've been doing that workout. I did it on Friday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I want you to notice, they're raising. But you see, I don't tell you that because my glutes are raising. I tell you that I'm interested in staying young until I decide to leave the planet. And in order to do so, I couldn't continue to do the workout I was doing. Because what happens to us, those of us who go to the gym on a regular basis, we develop a habit. And we do a specific workout, and I've had that habit for years, and I was doing a specific workout, and nothing was changing in my body, and I realized I had to do something new to cause it to change. And by going there, I have found a way of being inspired from within, because someone's giving me more information. And so you'll find here at Agape, let's go with the spiritual practice. So I've been a part of religious science now since like 1997. I've been immersed in this study. I've read just about everything you can imagine on religious science. I get the power of creation. I get affirmative prayer and spiritual mind treatment. I understand affirmations, and I'm saying, there's more though. That's why I go to India, because I realize there's places there that have things that I've never yet even heard of. I've been twice, and each time that I come back from India, I am renewed, I'm invigorated, I'm juiced because of what I'm finding, and it's simple. This is the thing. We make our spirituality so darn complex, and it's very, very simple if we just do the work. I can't stress that enough. It's about, you don't get glutes raised by going and having one session. No, you've got to do the workout 3 times a week for a period of time. You've got to eat proper. You've got to have a mental atmosphere. You've got to really put yourself into it. The same thing's true if you want to be wealthy. You don't get wealthy overnight. You build a mental atmosphere of wealth, and then you build the idea of, how do I spend money? How do I invest money? What do I invest money in? You're building a mental atmosphere, and you're never stopping your learning. You're constantly learning more and more and more about that. The same thing when you come to relationships. You don't get comfortable in your relationship. If I got comfortable in my relationship, Gene and I would have been divorced. What's 8 minus 34? That would be, or 44. That would be 36 years ago, because I was bored with her. I'll be very honest, I was bored. I needed something new, because you know what? I deserved something new. The problem was, it wasn't her. The problem was, it was me. I was looking for something from her that could only be given from within inside me, and I had to go within me to find out what that was. We can't put our reliance on something outside of ourselves, because when we do, we're damned. And what does damn means? It means it takes us to a place, and that place that we've been taught to believe in is hell, and all hell is a state of mind which says, I'm not connected to what inspires me from within. I'm not living my dreams. I'm not living my passions. I'm not expanding. I'm not growing. And that's who you are, though. You're expressions of the infinite. You're here to expand, to grow. You're not here to be bored. You're not here to be comfortable. You're not here to just relax. You are here to be involved in a glory and grandness of life and expand, explore beyond anything you can even imagine. That's why you're here. You see, and when you've got that going on, there's no such thing as aging. You are young here, and this is all that matters, because my 66 revolutions around the planet have given me so many experiences that I'm able to teach from those experiences. Not only that, but I'm able to have experience from those experiences, and the experience is the only thing that teaches. Do you hear that? You cannot get anything new in your life until you experience it. This really became clear when I was in Peru a year ago, right at this time. It was this day, 1 year ago, I went to the holistic fair, the Plano Holistic Fair, which I'm going to right after the service. And after the holistic fair, Gene took me to the airport and I flew to Peru. And I was in Peru for 12 days, and there I went on a shamanic journey. And at that time, it's all on the internet. You can go find the talk on it, but I'm just going to do a couple highlights. While in Peru, I went there for the experience of going beyond my mind. And so I went there to do ayahuasca. I wanted to find out what was this idea that this plant, by taking this plant, it can bust through the barriers of how you think about things. And so I did it. And I did it 5 times while I was there. So I got the experience, and I'm going to give you the best that I got from that. When you're taking that type of plant and you no longer have the filters around your mind, the stuff that comes up will scare the living crap out of you. You will understand when Dante described the fires of hell. You will not understand it, you will experience it. And then when they talk about the euphoric bliss of love beyond anything, being wrapped in the arms of love, you will understand that as well. But here's the understanding that I came away with. You will know as much of this as you know of this, because the world is always in balance. So know that as you're seeking for more, you're going to have experiences that are going to be to the contrary. A lot of times when people come into religious science, they have the idea, the belief that in the law of attraction says, well, I will only attract good into my life. I will only attract good into my life. I will only attract good in my life. Well, that'll kill this belief, because it's never going to happen. Because we live in a world that's full of contrast. We are contrast in of ourselves. Anyone here have hormones? Men, raise your hands as well. Because everyone has hormones, and they're cyclical, and they're constantly moving, and those hormones have an impact on us, and they impact our mood. And because it impacts our mood, what 1 minute will be delightful, the next minute will not be delightful. The next minute, the delightful thing will no longer be a satisfying thing, because there's something in us that is always desiring to seek more. Always more. See, if you're stuck in the past, you have no future. This is where the whole tool of forgiveness comes in. Forgiveness is not about letting the other person off the hook. Forgiveness is about realizing that that person never had any power over us in the first place. And all we had to do is realize that that person hurt us because of the perspective that we had about that person. And if we change that perspective to seeing what possible good came out of an event that was as horrific as you can imagine, because in the long run, 30,000 feet above, looking down, there will be good that came out of that event. This is something that I learned through studying with Dr. John DeMartini. I have seen him take people live at the breakthrough experience where he has people in the breakthrough who are telling you the most horrific story about what happened to them in their lives, and he is there and he works with them and he pulls out and shows them all the good that came from it. And when they found all the good that came from it, what it did is it collapsed the event. It made it neutral. And when an event is neutral, it no longer has charge. When it no longer has charge, you are free to go beyond the event. You see, until you get beyond the event, you are owned by the event or you are owned by that person. And so people ask me all the time, well, Lee, how do I know if I've done the forgiveness work? It's real simple. If that person comes through your mind, the image comes through your mind, and your butt puckers, they own you. It's that simple. If your stomach clenches, they own you. That person has to come through your mind and you not have a thought. You not have an emotional response whatsoever. Because the second you have that emotional response, there's more work to do. And the work is to see, how is it that this has benefited me? I like to do this, I like to do a T-bar. I'll take a top of a piece of paper, I'll draw a T down it, and on one side I put all the negative. On the other side, I write down all the positive. And I do the positive until I have a balance. Real simple exercise, but you do that exercise, you can get through just about any event. It may take some time, because you may not be able to see what the good is yet. And you may have to step out of your experience right now, beyond it, and look down, say, 5 years from now. Because things that happen to us, oh my God, 1989, I was in a business meeting in New Jersey with all the executives of the corporation, and I just gave up and gave the biggest presentation of my life, and the CEO of the mothership stood up and said, "Are you done?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "That was bullshit." Can you imagine? And do you know how long that I held on to that? Until I realized that had I done a good presentation, I would have been with that company. I would have been with those people. I would have moved my family to a place I didn't want to move. And then the company went bankrupt and I would have been stuck there looking for things. I didn't know this till 4 years later, and then I went, oh my God, I see why that happened. It wasn't a vibrational match to me. Do you see that? Sometimes bad things or perceived bad things happen to us because it's trying to spur us to move outside of it because we are no longer a vibrational match to that situation. So a lot of times people come up to me and they say, well, Lee, I've been divorced 3 times. And I said, well, there was a time when you were a vibrational match. Apparently you're no longer a vibrational match. Nothing good or bad about the fact that people got divorced. It means sometimes there's a reason and a season for everything. But we've got to come outside of this idea that there's one, and society's way of dictating how a relationship, how money is, how health is the way to go. I get people come up to me and say, Lee, have you gone to the doctor and had a colonoscopy? I go, hell no. Not that it's wrong, but I don't want anything going there. I know what's going on in my body. If you are aware of what you're eating, if you're aware of that health is the number one value, you will know in an instant that your body's in great shape. You will know the second you become tapped into your physical body and you're not unconsciously living, and I may offend some of you, and that's okay. If you're drinking soda all the time, if you're doing excessive alcohol, if you're eating fast food, if you're not doing healthy eating, your body has already become numb to being able to tell you if something's right or wrong, because it's been numbed by all of the foreign substances that our bodies were never meant to take in, and probably the number one thing that kills our bodies is sugar. And sugar is in everything, so to be conscious of the idea of what doesn't have sugar, you've got to really become aware. And in order for you to become aware, you've got to say, I don't want to get old, and getting old is optional, so I'm going to now make new choices. And in my new choices, I don't care what anyone else is thinking. I'm taking care of me. You see, getting old is optional really is about being personally responsible. This has to do with smoking, this has to do with drinking, this has to do with eating, exercising, shopping, sleeping, drugs. You name the addiction. They're all addictions, because what an addiction is something that stops us from listening and being inspired from within to grow in all areas of our life. When we're growing, we can't possibly begin to age. Because the mind knows we have a purpose in life. And when we have a purpose in life, the body says, yes. I'm telling you right now, this is amazing. Why am I saying this? But I'm going to. I'm out there all the time. And, when I put on the radio, which is very seldom, I'll put on sports radio. What do you hear on sports radio as a commercial these days? It's all about getting more testosterone in your body, guys. You can pump bigger weights, you can be healthier. Frank Thomas is the guy advertising. Remember him, the ball player? Didn't he play for Minnesota Twins? Hall of Fame ball player. He's this big macho guy. And then in the commercial he goes, and ladies, you'll like the benefit of it too, that benefit. Here's the thing, the guys that are having ED problems, it's because they don't have something they're going for. They don't have an inspired goal. They're not reaching. Their body has already said that, wait a second, there's nothing going good in your life. I'm taking you down the old man path. Do you hear what I'm saying? Because the body is an automatic time clock. It knows what you're thinking. It knows what you're doing. It automatically knows when you're no longer in your youthful, reproductive, creative process. And when you're not there in mind, it takes you there in body. Ooh, that's a hard one to hear. And I'm not talking about for you, but the audience out in the internet that are going to hear that. Some of them might turn it off. That's okay. Think about it. Let it come to you because you are responsible for your life. That's one of the basic teachings that we talk about in religious science. We have 100% responsibility for our lives. And it comes to us because we are always at the power to choose. We can choose what to think, what to speak, what to act, and what to feel. And when we align those with an inspired action, oh my God, the world just takes on a whole new place. The last thing is preventing old age can only be accomplished through the expanded use of our mind. That is the key. Are you reading? Are you with people who excite you, who cause you to be stimulated, to grow more, to become more? Or are you people that want to do the same thing over and over and over again? I had this woman come up to me at the Plano Chamber the other day, and she's from Theater Britain. It's a little theater in Plano. And she was introduced to me and says, we're putting on this great play. It's a comedy, and we would like to maybe entice you to do it. And I'm listening to her whole pitch, and I looked at her and said, I already have tickets. And she just looked dumbfounded at me and says, you already have tickets? We just advertised it yesterday. I said, I know. I love comedy. So when comedy comes out in whatever form, I'm always on the forefront of being notified, and I immediately buy tickets. So you all know that I'm into rock and roll. You can tell that by the magnificent band that Steve has put together here. I love rock and roll. Steve Curry is one of the greatest gifts Agape's ever given itself. Thank you, Steve. Alex and David back in the back. They're catching the message after it's been filtered through all of your ears. Musicians are subtle. Anyway, I've got ticket to Roger Waters in June. I've got tickets to Queen in August. I've got tickets to Bob Seger in October. These are things that cause me to be new, to be young. When you're at a concert, I share this with you, and you've got that energy. When you're with 10, 15,000 people, and that rock is going, that energy is going, your body is absorbing the energy of that music, and it says, ooh, he thinks he's young again. Here's a little bit testosterone. My wife's there, ooh, I think she's young again. She starts moving her butt, It's about what are you doing that demonstrates to the universe that you're young. It doesn't have to be what I do, but what is it that you would do that is young, that inspires you to be more and more and more? You can't change your whole life right away, but you can change one aspect of your life today. The question I ask you is, what is that aspect? And we're going to explore that right now. But I'm just going to take you within just for a moment or two. And I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to feel right here and now that everything in your life has just melted away. Everything has melted away. And you are right now listening like a little boy or a little girl to your heart. What does your heart want to express? What is it desiring to be, to do? What type of people does it want to do it with? What will the feelings be that come when I do that? What do I have to let go of in order to be that man or that woman who would experience that dream? Who would be supporting me as I did that? What type of support might I need? Who can I partner with? Who would be fun to be with? Now anchor that. As silly as it may seem to you, anchor that idea in your mind. And today, take one small action in the direction of that dream. And then tomorrow, take one small action. And each and every day, you are stepping into your greatness. You are stepping into your future. You are stepping into the next adventure. You are now a guardian of your own galaxy. Think about that. No one else guards your life but you. You have the controls. You have the power. You are the wisdom. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.